What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another trailer reaction. And today we are talking about Rian Johnson's latest Knives Out film, a Knives Out mystery titled Wake Up, Dead Man, starring Daniel Craig, of course, back as the detective, but also starring Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, KERRY Washington, Andrew Scott, KAILEE SPAENEY, Daryl McCormack, Thomas Hayden Church. Oof, like what a cast for this. I mean, all of the Knives Out movies for the first three have been very good and very good, you know, whodunit, murder mystery type things. And my mother and I love a murder mystery, so for me, this will be a nice little, you know, figure out how it got done type of movie, you know what I mean? Like, and I love these type of movies, even if they're spooky and a little bit more horror-esque. You know, I'm always like, you know, I stick around until the end to figure out who did it, you know? You gotta figure out who done it, right? And early guesses for me already is that Jeremy Renner did it. But this film will be in theaters November 26th and then on Netflix December 12th. So comment below if this is something that you'd want to see in theaters or if you'll just wait the extra couple weeks and go see it on your own TV at home on Netflix. But the trailer just got released yesterday, and I was talking about Knives Out for my Comically Boston weekly nerdy news podcast that comes out every Monday, and we were talking briefly about it, and then as I was about to talk about it, I got a notification on my phone that the trailer dropped for Knives Out, or Wake Up, Dead Man, Knives Out 3, and I immediately was like, well, I guess I gotta go do a trailer reaction. So I have the trailer here, and I say let's jump right on into it and see what Rian Johnson has to offer for the third Knives Out film.
This murder was dressed as a miracle. But what happened that night is a much larger scheme.
Ooh, so from the writer/director of Knives Out and Glass Onion, so this is the third Knives Out film, I think he didn't love the title of Knives Out and was like, okay, I want to get rid of it with Knives Onion, and the only thing that really is the same is the writer-director and Daniel Craig. But they couldn't escape Knives Out, so now it's, oh, it's a Knives Out mystery, and that was just the name of the first movie, right? Like, he definitely didn't want to continue it on. That's why it's been Knives Out, Glass Onion, Wake Up, Dead Man. They've been different films, but yet it's still kind of a trilogy, with this being the third film. But you can see a little bit of the cast there, and they're like, this murder doesn't seem as it seems. And you can see Daniel Craig there, back with a little goatee and his haircut. Yeah, I love his Benoit Blanc, you know, like his detective is hilarious. But the KAILEE SPAENEY, KERRY Washington, I believe that's Daryl McCormack, Jeremy Renner, and Andrew Scott, just from the faces, oh, and Glenn Close, but just from the faces we're seeing already, I'm like, yeah, Jeremy Renner's the guy. I just have a feeling he's going to be the killer. But on to the next portion of this trailer.
To understand this case, you need to look at the myth that's being constructed. A man gives a sermon. He then, in plain sight of everyone, walks into a sealed concrete box. And 30 seconds later, that man is lying dead. A classic impossible crime.
Ooh, very interesting. So it seems like whoever the pastor, father, priest, whatever you want to call him, whoever the guy running this ceremony, he seems to go into this little room and then he ends up dead. And it's like, this was this private, closed off room. Like, how could anyone get in there? A classic impossible crime, right? Like, so another one of these mysteries that's like, how could this have happened? And only the detective Benoit Blanc is on the case to figure it out. So, you know, all of the people in this, it seems like a funeral, and it seems like everybody here at this funeral is going to be suspects of who killed the father, and it will be like, this one I think though is going to be more than just one murder. It's going to be like, well, they normally are. It normally starts with one murder, and then as other members of the party start to figure out who did it, the person that did it starts taken them out too. You know, or sometimes you learn that like the person that did it had help and then they're working together and one person's taking out these people, one person's taking out these people. But it's always fascinating when by the end of the film they unfold how everything happened and how they did it and who's the real bad guy. And it's like, you know, Scooby-Doo-esque where, oh, and I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for you, Detective Benoit Blanc, you know, or whatever. But, you know, there's very much so a bunch of different personalities in this cast and, you know, characters here. There's people that are clearly paying attention, following along. There's people just holding the book, not following along. There's people reading the book. There's people with headphones in, not giving a fuck. It seems like Thomas Hayden Church and Glenn Close are going to be like a couple in this, which is so funny. But yeah, what did the priest do that all of a sudden he gets wiped out and he's 30 seconds later killed and, you know, there's murder on our hands and who did it? On to the next portion of the trailer.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
This is a holy mystery, unsolvable.
Holy shit. Sorry.
Josh O'Connor seems awfully guilty too, though. He seems like too innocent, right? You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those types where, like, in this, it seems like he's maybe the father's, like, understudy, if you would. Like, oh, the father died, so now his, like, apprentice has to step up or whatever. I don't know how that works. I'm not that religious. But Josh O'Connor might be in my running for who did it, too, you know? Obviously, it's not Daniel Craig. He's the person solving the crime, so at least that takes one person out of the equation on who killed him. But it seems like Glenn Close is like, you know, something crazy's going on here, and he's like, shit, you know, like. But I know Josh O'Connor from what, Challengers last year with Zendaya and that other kid, so you know he's not bad, but he seems like maybe he could be the murderer. Glenn Close could be the murderer just from being Glenn Close. I don't know. On to the next portion of this trailer.
What the hell happened?
We do not know. What is truth? We don't know that. We don't. What exists? Does any of this exist? So,
What is even happening right now?
So we see there that Josh Brolin is the priest. I didn't even recognize him with that haircut and big white beard. But Josh Brolin's playing the priest that probably gets killed. Mila Kunis is a cop. Like, Jeremy Renner's like, who knows the truth? Not us. And Andrew Scott's like, what is happening here? Does anyone know? Not me. You know, like. On to the next portion of the trailer.
It is time to discover what this flock of wicked wolves is hiding.
Confess. All right, stop.
Ooh. Very interesting. So we cut through a bunch more of our cast there. KERRY Washington, and seeing her face, I was like, "Isn't she in Glass Onion? Is her character, you know, like rolling over from Glass Onion?" But no. Then I thought about it. I was like, "Oh, isn't that Janella Monáe? Different, similar, same, but different." No, not KERRY Washington. But you know, Andrew Scott's in there. He seems like he's a writer of some sorts. KAILEE Spaeney's in there, coming off of Alien Romulus. She was great in Alien Romulus and in Civil War. I saw her in last year as well. She was also great. Daryl McCormick, I don't know if I know him. Thomas Hayden Church was the Sandman in 2007's Spider-Man 3, so I know him from that. But Benoit Blanc is like, it's time to see what this flock of wicked wolves is hiding. So yeah, it does seem like this bunch is definitely the most volatile of the groups that we've been around. I mean, maybe the Knives Out group in the first movie was pretty volatile too, but they were all like a family, weren't they? And they were all like cousins and stuff, and they all were at each other's throats and like, you know, family stuff. Where this seems like maybe not family, but everyone, you know, gathered for this funeral of some sorts, and all of a sudden the priest is dead, and then now everybody's under investigation. They all have to be in this place for the investigation type of thing. I don't know. But I'm so fascinated to see what happens here. Maybe some spooky stuff as well with this creepy red lighting, and maybe KAILEE Spaeney's playing the cello or something, or viola, or whatever you want to call it. And then at the very end of that, we saw like, you know, lights flashing as Josh O'Connor's character is like covered in mud and like has a knife in his hand. So maybe Josh O'Connor is the killer, or maybe he catches the killer and he's got to stop the killer from killing again. So then he has to kill the killer. Lots of killing. But on to the final portion of this trailer.
Here's what's gonna happen. Benoit, freaking Blanc, and I are gonna ask you all some questions, and you're gonna answer them. We're gonna get to the bottom of who killed Monsignor Wicks and why, and then that's it.
Now, who wants to go first?
Yeah, my early guesses are Jeremy Renner or Josh O'Connor, because in that final scene, you know, he's like yelling at all of them, freaking Benoit Blanc and I are gonna ask you some questions and you're gonna answer them, and then that's all I had to say, you know, like, but just the way he said it, and then it's how it cuts to just him, Benoit Blanc, standing in front of him like, all right, who's going first? You know that there's something in between that, you know, time where Josh is speaking to when Benoit Blanc steps up. You know that there's some type of back and forth there where he's just kind of like, all right, I think that was a bit much. You can calm down now. You know, like, but I think Josh O'Connor might be guilty. I don't know. That's just an early guess from the trailers, but comment below, who do you think has been the murderer just from the trailer here? Obviously, we haven't seen the film, so we don't know who actually is the murderer yet, but we know that there will be a murder, and Benoit Blanc needs to solve it. But coming to theaters November 26th, and on Netflix December 12th, so friggin' can't wait to see this murder mystery in December. But comment below, who do you think is the murderer? And I might even need to go back and rewatch Knives Out and Glass Onion. Glass Onion, obviously, I've seen more recently. I think I even did like a review on the channel for Glass Onion. But Knives Out, I have not, and I really like Knives Out. But I had like, it was one of those movies where like I had seen it before I started making movie reviews on my channel. So, you know, when I started making movie reviews, I was like trying to get stuff that I hadn't seen, you know, or stuff that I really wanted to, you know, make a review for, stuff that's like my favorites. And I was avoiding stuff like Knives Out or anything that I had seen recently, but, you know, didn't review on the channel. So now it's been a couple of years since I started reviewing movies, so maybe I need to double back and do some of those movies that I definitely have seen, but I haven't reviewed on the channel. But I think Rian Johnson definitely shouldn't have done Star Wars and should definitely stay in his lane with the murder mystery stuff with the Knives Out movies, because his last 3 of these Knives Out movies, including Wake Up Dead Man, look really good, you know, and Glass Onion and Knives Out were great. So, you know, continuing on working with Daniel Craig, I think that should definitely be a move. And yeah, you know, I think these type of Clue, whodunit, murder mystery movies are timeless, and also like could be repeated all the time, you know, like they're the type of films that I think Knives Out in these type of movies will hold up years from now and they'll still be good films. But also, like, who's mad at a murder mystery, you know, like kids grew up on Scooby-Doo. Alright, that's it for me, y'all. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please leave a comment down below or message me on my other social medias your thoughts on the Knives Out mystery movies, or if you have any recommendations of any other murder mysteries out there, please drop those down in the comment section below. Follow my other social medias, Big Cam, 2Gs in the Big, pretty much anywhere, but links for those down in the description below. And if you've made it this far and you'd like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is liking this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future trailer reactions and you get the notifications when those come out. But once again, my name's Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!